I'm Malik Osman, a 35-year-old musician whose dreams of music were crushed by my family's disdain, only to face a heart-wrenching betrayal when my girlfriend Noor and my golden boy brother Bilal shattered my world at a Thanksgiving dinner, igniting a fiery resolve to rise from their rejection and prove my worth in a dramatic comeback that would leave them stunned. My life is like an unfinished piece of music filled with highs and lows, but never quite complete. I grew up in a middle-class suburban home where my parents, Farouk and Yasmin, always had sky-high expectations. For them, success meant a stable job, a hefty bank account, and a respected position in society. But for me, all I wanted was to play music. My old, worn-out guitar was my companion, the place where I poured my dreams my family could never understand. I whispered to myself, why can't they see my music is my soul? My parents often compared me to Bilal, my younger brother. Bilal, 31, is a shining star in the finance industry. He always knew how to please everyone, earning approving nods from dad and proud looks from mom. I don't blame Bilal. He's a good guy, really. But every time I heard mom say, "Why can't you be more like Bilal?" it felt like my heart was being squeezed. I love music, love the melodies that tell my story, but to my family, it's just a pointless hobby. "You're wasting your life, Malik," Dad would snap, his voice cutting deeper than I'd admit. My girlfriend's name is Noor. She's the bright spot in my life. She's 32, an accountant, living a neat and stable life. Noor isn't the dreamy type, but she always listens to me, always smiles when I play a new song. "Malik, you'll make it," she often says, and I believe her. Noor is the only one who makes me feel like I'm not lost. We've been together for 3 years, and even though my life isn't easy, gigs are scarce, money is tight, she's still there, holding my hand. "You're my anchor, Noor," I told her once, my voice thick with gratitude. She smiled, squeezing my hand. "And you're my melody, Malik." Portland is a beautiful city, but for me, it's full of pressure. I rent a small apartment where the sound of my guitar fills the nights, mingling with the noise of traffic outside. My music career is a struggle. Small bars pay me a few bucks per gig, and record labels don't even bother replying to my emails. Some nights I sit alone, wondering if I'm chasing a dream that doesn't exist. But then Noor will call, her voice soft over the phone, and I find a reason to keep going. I whispered to myself, she believes in me. That's enough to fight for. I remember one evening after finishing a gig at a rundown bar. There were only a handful of scattered patrons, and the bar owner paid me $60, 0 cents less than the cost of gas. I came home exhausted, but Noor was there carrying a pizza box and a smile. "You played great," she said, though I knew she was just trying to comfort me. "I bombed, Noor," I admitted, my voice heavy with defeat. She cupped my face fierce. "You're a star, Malik. Don't let them dim you." We sat on the couch eating pizza, and I told her about my dream. One day I'd stand on a big stage playing music for thousands of people. Noor held my hand, her eyes sparkling. "I believe in you, Malik." In that moment, I felt like I could conquer the world, but deep down, I know things aren't that simple. My parents never stop reminding me that I'm wasting my time. "You're 35, Malik," my dad said during a family dinner. "It's time you got a real job." My mom was gentler, but her words cut deeper. "Look at Bilal, he knows how to plan for the future. Why can't you just support me?" I snapped, my voice shaking with years of frustration. Mom sighed. "We just want you to be secure, Malik." I stayed silent, swallowing the pain along with a bite of steak. Bilal sat across from me, trying to change the subject, but I knew he felt the pressure too. He's the family's pride, while I'm just an ellipsis. Thanksgiving is approaching, and I've decided to bring Noor home to meet my family. I want them to see that I'm doing okay, that I have an amazing woman by my side. I imagine Mom smiling, Dad nodding, and maybe, just once, them being proud of me. But I don't know that this trip will change everything. I whisper to myself, this is my chance to show them I'm not a failure. On Thanksgiving, my parents' house in the Portland suburbs was filled with the aroma of roasted turkey and pumpkin pie. I held Noor's hand as we walked in, my heart brimming with hope. Noor wore a light green dress, her hair tied up, her smile radiant. "Don't worry, Malik," she whispered as we stood at the door. "They'll like me." I hope so, I murmured, my voice tight with nerves. I need them to see us. I squeezed her hand, trying to believe everything would be okay. Dinner started off cheerfully. Bilal talked about his job, multi-million-dollar deals, and business trips to Chicago. My dad nodded approvingly. My mom beamed. Noor joined the conversation, asking Bilal about the finance industry with genuine curiosity. I sat there trying to chime in, but every word I said seemed to be ignored. "Bilal, are you still playing guitar?" my mom asked, but her tone sounded like she was inquiring about a childish hobby. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Yeah, I'm still trying." "It's more than trying, Mom," I said, my voice sharp. "It's my life." She frowned, dismissing me. "Let's not argue, Malik." Noor placed her hand on mine under the table, a small gesture of comfort. After dinner, I joined Dad and Bilal in the living room to watch TV. Noor and my mom stayed in the kitchen, cleaning up and washing dishes. I thought everything was fine until I passed by the kitchen to grab more wine. The door was slightly ajar, and I heard my mom's voice, low but clear. "Noor, you're a sweet girl," she said, "but do you really think you're right for Malik? I mean, Malik is a good boy, but he doesn't have a clear future." My heart clenched. I stood frozen, barely breathing, listening to every word. Noor was quiet for a moment, then she spoke, her voice hesitant. "I understand what you mean. Malik is very passionate, but sometimes I worry." My mom cut in, her voice sweet as honey. "Bilal's different. He's smart, successful, and he knows how to take care of a woman. A girl like you deserves someone like Bilal. He'd give you a better life. Don't worry about Malik. He'll be fine." "How dare you?" I whispered, my fists clenched, tears burning my eyes. "She's mine, Mom." I felt the blood rush to my head. I wanted to barge in, to shout, but my feet were glued to the floor. Noor didn't say anything else, just murmured vaguely. "Noor, say something!" I hissed under my breath, my heart breaking. "Defend us." I turned away, my heart pounding, trying to stay calm. For the rest of the evening, I laughed and talked as if nothing had happened, but a storm was raging in my mind. Noor still held my hand, still smiled at me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting. I whispered to myself, "You're slipping away, Noor. How could you let her say that?" In the days following Thanksgiving, Noor started acting differently. She canceled one date, citing a busy work schedule, then another because she was tired. She texted less, and when we did meet, she kept mentioning Bilal. "Did you know Bilal just got promoted?" she said, her eyes lighting up. "He's really talented. Why do you keep talking about him?" I snapped, my voice raw with hurt. She flinched, mumbling, "I'm just impressed, Malik. Relax." I tried to brush it off, telling myself it was just innocent admiration. But then one evening, I saw her with Bilal. I was on my way to Noor's favorite coffee shop to surprise her. Through the window, I saw them sitting across from each other, laughing and talking intimately. Noor touched Bilal's hand and he smiled, a smile I'd never seen on my brother's face. I stood there under the streetlight, feeling like the world was crumbling. I didn't go in, didn't confront them. I just turned around, walked back to my apartment, my guitar on my back, feeling heavier than ever, as if it carried all my pain. I whispered to myself, "You've betrayed me, Noor, and you, Bilal, stole her." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my room playing sorrowful melodies, trying to make sense of what was happening. Noor, the woman I loved, the one I trusted, was wavering, and my family, the people who were supposed to support me, were the ones pushing her away. I felt lonelier than ever. But deep inside, a fire began to burn. I wouldn't let them define me. I would prove I was worthy. I whispered to myself, "I'm not nothing. I'll show you all I'm more than you think." I decided to leave Portland for a place that held more promise. But before I left, I wanted to confront my parents one last time. On a rainy afternoon, I went to their house, my heart heavy. Dad was sitting in his armchair reading the newspaper. Mom was tidying up in the kitchen. "I need to talk," I said, my voice trembling but resolute. I told them what I'd overheard on Thanksgiving, how they'd pushed Noor toward Bilal. "How could you do that to me?" I shouted, tears streaming down my face. "You tore my life apart." I waited for an apology, a hint of remorse, but my dad only frowned. Malik, we just want what's best for the girl, and honestly, Bilal is the better choice. Better, I roared, my voice shaking with rage. I loved her, Dad, and you poisoned her against me. My mom nodded, her eyes cold. You need to grow up, Malik. Music isn't a future. You've never believed in me, I cried, my voice breaking. I'm your son, too. I felt my heart shatter, but I didn't cry. I just nodded, turned, and walked out of that house. The rain soaked my jacket, but I didn't care. My resolve to leave Portland was stronger than ever. This place was full of painful memories I wanted to bury. I whispered to myself, I'm done with you. I'll build my own future. I decided to move to Nashville, Tennessee. I'd heard it was a music paradise, a place where artists like me could find opportunities. With my guitar, a suitcase of clothes, and $3,000, 0 cents in savings, I boarded a bus, leaving Portland behind. As the bus rolled forward, I looked out the window, watching the buildings fade into the rain. I wasn't sure if I was running away or running toward something, but I knew I had to go. I whispered to myself, this is my chance, Malik. Don't let their doubts stop you. Nashville greeted me with sweltering heat and the sound of country music spilling from the streets. I felt the vibrancy here, but it also overwhelmed me. I didn't know anyone, had no connections, nothing but a vague determination. I told myself, I'll make it. I have to make it. I rented a small apartment. It was a musty room with stained walls and a bed that was just an old mattress. The sound of insects outside the window kept me company every night. I had no money to buy new things, no one to share the space with. But I didn't complain. This was my chance to start over. Finding work in Nashville was harder than I expected. I went from one bar to another club, carrying my demo and a sliver of hope. We don't need new people, they'd say, or worse, what experience do you have? I wanted to shout that I'd lived for music my whole life, but I just bowed my head, thanked them, and walked out. Each rejection made me feel smaller, but I didn't give up. My savings dwindled quickly. Some days I survived on dry bread and tap water. I checked my phone, hoping for a text from Noor, a call from Mom, but there was nothing. I whispered to myself, they've forgotten me, but I won't forget myself. A while later, I heard that Noor and Bilal had gotten married. My parents posted pictures of them online, beaming at the wedding. No one asked how I was doing in Tennessee. No one invited me to the wedding, not even my parents or my brother. It was as if the whole world had forgotten I existed, like I'd been invisible for all 35 years of my life. I sat in my room, staring at my guitar, the loneliness pressing on my chest like a boulder. I used to think family was a place to return to, but now I had nothing. I whispered to myself, they've erased me, but I'll write my own story. One day, when I was close to despair, I saw a job posting at a coffee shop. Harmony Studio needed an assistant, no experience required. I went straight there, my heart pounding. The manager, Omar, an old man with silver hair, looked at me. What do you know about music? He asked. I told him about my gigs in Portland, about the dream I carried with me. It's all I have left, I said, my voice raw with desperation. He nodded, eyes softening. You've got fired, kid. That's enough, Omar nodded. Start tomorrow. Pays low. Don't complain. The studio job was a string of long days. I mopped floors, organized equipment, made coffee, but I didn't complain. Hearing artists record made me feel alive again. Then, one afternoon, she walked in. Aisha. I vaguely recognized her, Bilal's ex-girlfriend. I remembered a dinner years ago when Bilal brought her home. She was radiant, talking about music. But my mom gave her a cold look and later said, she's not good enough for you, Bilal. I saw Aisha bow her head, hiding her pain. Today, we met with the same pain caused by Bilal. She approached, her brown hair messy, wearing an old t-shirt, carrying a stack of papers. Omar, I need a studio, ASAP, she said. Then she looked at me and froze. Are you Malik, Bilal's brother? I nodded, surprised. You remember me? She gave a sad smile. Hard to forget that dinner. Your mom wasn't exactly fond of me. She broke us both, I said, my voice low with shared pain. Aisha nodded, eyes glistening. But we're still here, aren't we? Omar introduced us. Malik, this is Aisha, music producer. Don't tick her off. Aisha told Omar we were acquaintances. Then she looked at me, her eyes like those of someone finding a familiar face in a storm. Aisha and I quickly found common ground. We both loved music. Both had been turned away by my family. At the studio, she taught me how to mix tracks, how to listen to every detail. Music is emotion, Malik, she said. If you can't feel it, you can't do it. You make it sound alive, I said, my voice thick with awe. She smiled, fierce. That's because it is, Malik. It's us. I admired her, not just her talent, but her resilience after what my family had done to her. During long nights at the studio, we shared everything. I told her about Portland, about Noor, about how my parents only cared about Bilal and his wedding. They don't call. Don't ask how I'm doing, I said, my voice bitter. Aisha nodded. I get it. Your mom once told me I wasn't good enough for Bilal, that I'd drag him down. She gave a sad laugh. But I'm still here, doing what I love. I looked at her and saw myself, someone rejected, but unwilling to give up. I whispered to myself, she's like me, we're survivors. We found solace in music. Once, after a failed recording session, Aisha angrily threw papers on the table. I made coffee, played an old blues track, and we sat there laughing about our mistakes. You're not bad, Malik, she said. You just need to believe in yourself more. You make me believe I can, I admitted, my voice soft. She squeezed my hand, her eyes warm. You will, Malik. I see you. Her words were a ray of light in my darkness. We started dreaming big. Aisha wanted to produce an album for Layla, a young artist whose voice silenced the entire studio. But the project lacked funding and investors weren't interested. We worked tirelessly, from early morning to midnight, surviving on coffee and faith. I still checked my phone, hoping for a text from Mom, a word from Noor. But there was nothing. My parents were busy boasting about Bilal online, about his and Noor's new house. I didn't exist in their world. I whispered to myself, they've moved on. So must I. One evening, when the studio was empty, Aisha sat next to me, looking at a pile of recordings. Do you ever want revenge? She asked. I shook my head. No, I just want to prove them wrong. I want them to see I'm not nothing, I said, my voice fierce. She gripped my shoulder, eyes blazing. We'll make them choke on their words, Malik. She smiled, touching my shoulder. Me too. We'll make it, Malik. In that moment, I knew she wasn't just a colleague. She was someone who understood me, someone who made me want to be the best version of myself. Our friendship deepened through the struggles. We faced financial pressures, failed recording sessions, and fierce competition together. Aisha told me about her dreams. One day, she wanted to build a place for abandoned artists like us. I shared my dream, standing on a big stage, playing music for thousands. We weren't just friends. We were two wounded souls who found each other in music. I whispered to myself, she's my home now. She's my reason. The bond between me and Aisha grew quietly, not with fanfare, but like a slow melody, each note sinking into our hearts. One night, after finishing a recording for Layla, we sat on the studio's rooftop, gazing at the stars. Malik, Aisha said softly, you're the first person who's made me feel like I'm enough. I looked at her, my heart pounding. You're the one who makes me want to keep living, Aisha. I kissed her. I love you, I whispered, my voice trembling with truth. She smiled, tears in her eyes. I love you too, Malik. We're unstoppable. That kiss was real, as if it erased all our pain. We fell in love, but we didn't rush. We were still friends, colleagues, sharing dreams and pressures. Aisha proposed a bold idea, starting a music production company focused on independent artists overlooked by major labels. We can change this industry, she said, her eyes blazing with passion. I agreed, even though I knew the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. Let's do this, Aisha, I said, my voice fierce. Let's show them what we're made of. We named the company Outcast Tunes. Our first office was just a tiny corner in Omar's studio with 2 old desks and a rickety computer. We did everything, scouting artists, seeking funding, promoting, but money was a constant issue. Some months we couldn't cover rent. Aisha sold her old car, I took side gigs at bars. Failures came one after another. A major project fell through when an investor pulled out. An artist left us for a bigger label's promise. Some nights, Aisha sat alone, her eyes red. "What if we're wrong?" she asked. I took her hand. "We're not wrong. We just need time." "We're stronger than this," I said, my voice steady. "We've survived worse." Our love was the fire that kept us going. Every morning, Ayesha made coffee, smiling at me. Every night, we played music, tossing around crazy ideas. She was the reason I didn't give up, and I knew I was the reason she persevered. I still thought of Noor, of my parents, but the pain had faded. They were no longer the center of my life. Now, Ayesha was my reason for living. I whispered to myself, "She's my melody. I'll fight for us." Slowly, Outkast tunes made progress. Layla's album caught the attention of a radio station. Another artist cracked the indie charts. We started gaining a small reputation. Ayesha and I weren't just building a company, we were building a life where we belonged to each other. We knew that though the past had hurt us, it had also brought us together. I whispered to myself, "This is our victory, built from our scars." Every morning, I woke up next to Ayesha, the smell of coffee wafting from our small Nashville kitchen. She stood there, hair tied up, softly humming a blues tune. I smiled, feeling luckier than ever. Outkast tunes, our dream was growing day by day, but the path to success was far from easy. The first months with Outkast tunes were a battle. We worked non-stop from dawn to midnight in the cramped office at Harmony Studio. Layla's album, Our Labor of Love, was finally complete, but getting it to the public was a challenge. We sent recordings to radio stations, music platforms, even knocked on doors of Nashville bars. Most rejected us. Too new, they said, not commercial enough. Some nights, Ayesha and I sat across from each other, staring at a bank account nearing zero, wondering if we were chasing a pipe dream. "Are we fools, Ayesha?" I asked, my voice heavy with doubt. She grabbed my hand, fierce. "We're dreamers, Malik, and we'll prove them wrong." But then a local radio station noticed Layla. They played her lead single, Shattered Chords, and overnight our phones wouldn't stop ringing. Listeners requested the song relentlessly. Streaming platforms added Shattered Chords to their playlists. Layla, the young girl who once trembled in the studio, became a sensation. A small article in the Nashville scene called her Indie's new gem, and Outkast Tunes was mentioned as quiet pioneers. Doors began to open. Independent artists sought us out, young, talented people ignored by major labels. We signed a folk band, a street rapper, and a jazz singer with a voice like smoke. Each project was a gamble, but Ayesha and I believed in them, just as we believed in each other. I whispered to myself, "We're making waves. This is just the start." We worked like mad, producing, promoting, even designing album covers to save costs. Some days, I fell asleep at my desk. Ayesha typed until her hands shook, but we didn't stop. A year later, Outkast Tunes moved from the corner of Omar's studio to our own office, still small, but ours. We hung old artist posters on the walls and placed my guitar in the corner as a reminder of our journey. A national music magazine wrote about us, calling Outkast Tunes a fresh breeze in the industry. They interviewed Ayesha and me, asking about our secret to success. Ayesha laughed, squeezing my hand under the table. "We just do what we love with people we believe in," she said. "And we fight for it," I added, my voice fierce, eyes locked on hers. I nodded, but inside I knew the truth. Our success was built on scars, on rejections, on lonely Tennessee nights when no one checked on me. We expanded to other cities. Memphis, Atlanta, even Denver. Outkast Tunes signed dozens of artists, and their albums climbed the indie charts. A song we produced was nominated for a Grammy in the Best New Artist category. On the night of the nomination announcement, Ayesha and I sat in our apartment, hugging and shouting like kids. "We did it, Malik," she cheered, her eyes sparkling. "We're unstoppable, Ayesha," I shouted, my voice raw with joy, pulling her close. I kissed her, feeling that every past hardship was worth it. But success didn't erase the past. I still thought about Noor, my parents, Bilal. I no longer checked my phone, waiting for their messages, but I knew they were living their lives in Portland. Part of me wanted them to see me now, not to boast, but to show them I'd overcome what they thought I couldn't. Ayesha sensed it. "One day we'll face them, she said, her voice soft but firm. Not for revenge, but for closure. I'm scared, Aisha, I admitted, my voice low. She cupped my face, fierce. We'll face them together, Malik. You're not alone anymore. I nodded, knowing she was right. Outcast Tunes is now a name that carries weight. We moved to a larger headquarters with modern studios and a small, dedicated team. The media praises us for our humane approach, for giving overlooked artists a chance. But for me, the greatest success is Aisha, the woman who stood by me through every struggle, who made me believe I was worthy of love, of dreaming. One morning, as Aisha and I were preparing for a major music event in Nashville, a concert showcasing our new artists, Aisha proposed a bold idea. We should invite your family, she said, looking straight into my eyes. Bilal, Noor, your parents. Not for revenge, but to close the past. I was stunned. The thought of facing them made my heart race. But I knew she was right. I'd been running for too long. If I wanted to truly move forward, I needed to look straight at the people who had hurt me. I nodded, though my heart was heavy with anxiety. Aisha took my hand. We'll do this together, Malik. I whispered to myself, this is it, Malik. Face them and be free. I sent invitations to my parents, Bilal and Noor, along with a brief note. Outcast Tunes is hosting a music event in Nashville. I hope you can come. I didn't expect a reply. Didn't hope they'd show up. But a week later, Mom called. Malik, she said, her voice hesitant. We'll be there. Bilal and Noor, too. They're coming, I told Aisha, my voice trembling. She hugged me tight. We're ready, Malik. Let's show them who you are. I hung up, feeling both relieved and tense. They were coming, and I wasn't sure if I was ready. The day of the event arrived like a gust of wind. The Nashville Grand Theater was awash in lights and music. Hundreds of audience members, journalists, and sponsors filled the venue. Aisha and I stood backstage, checking everything. She wore a simple black dress, her hair loose, beautiful like a melody. You okay? She asked, touching my arm. I nodded, though my heart was pounding. As long as I have you, I'm terrified, Aisha, I admitted, my voice low. She gripped my hand, fierce. You're stronger than you know, Malik. We've got this. The concert began. Layla took the stage first, her voice ringing out, captivating the crowd. Other artists followed, each bringing a story, a dream that Outcast Tunes had helped make real. I stood in the wings, watching the audience applaud, and felt proud. This was my world, the world Aisha and I had built from broken pieces. Then I saw them. My parents, Bilal and Noor, seated in the guest section. Dad was in a suit. Mom wore pearl earrings, but their eyes couldn't hide their surprise. Bilal, in business attire, looked more tired than I remembered. Noor sat beside him, her purple dress striking, but her smile was forced. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Aisha squeezed my hand. We've got this, she whispered. After the performances, Aisha and I stepped onto the stage to speak. The crowd cheered as we appeared. I looked down and saw my parents, Bilal and Noor. Their eyes met mine, and for a moment, I felt like the 35-year-old boy they'd once rejected. But then I looked at Aisha, and I knew I wasn't that person anymore. Outcast Tunes isn't just a company, I said, my voice clear, rising with a defiant strength that silenced the room. It's a home for those who've been discarded, told they're not good enough. We're here to prove them wrong. This is for every time you called me a failure, I added, my voice raw, eyes locked on my family. I've risen and I'm not stopping. Aisha continued, sharing our journey, how we turned dreams into reality. The crowd applauded, but I only looked at my family. Dad lowered his head. Mom pursed her lip. Bilal and Noor stayed silent. After the event, they approached us in the reception area. Mom spoke first, her voice trembling. Malik, you did so well. Did I, Mom? I snapped, my voice sharp with years of pain. Or are you just saying that because Bilal's not here to steal the spotlight? Dad nodded, but his eyes avoided mine. Bilal stepped forward, extending his hand. Congratulations, bro, he said, but his voice lacked energy. Don't call me that, I said, my voice cold. You stole my life, Bilal. Noor stood behind, silent, looking at me with eyes I couldn't read. Then Mom turned to Aisha, hesitating. You're a talented young woman. I may have been wrong about you. Wrong about me? Aisha said, her voice steady but sharp. You tried to break us, but we're stronger than you ever imagined. Aisha smiled but didn't respond. I knew she didn't need that apology. She'd moved past it, just as I had. Bilal spoke to me quietly, his voice strained. My company's in trouble, Malik. If you could help. I cut him off. Bilal, I built everything from nothing. You can too. You don't get to ask for my help after what you did, I added, my voice trembling with rage. He flinched, looking away. I wasn't angry, wasn't bitter. I just wanted closure. Finally, Noor spoke, her voice soft. I'm sorry, Malik. I was wrong. I looked at her, remembering the days we were happy. I forgive you, I said, but I don't need you anymore. I loved you, Noor, I said, my voice breaking. But you chose him. Live with that. She lowered her head, and I knew that was the last time we'd speak. As they left, Aisha and I stood under the stage lights, watching the theater empty. You okay? She asked. I pulled her into my arms, feeling lighter. I'm okay now, I said. You gave me the strength to face them, I whispered, my voice thick with gratitude. She smiled, kissing me softly. We're unstoppable, Malik. The past was no longer a burden. I had faced it, and I had won. In the days following the event, Outkast tunes continued to grow. But the past didn't let go easily. One morning, as Aisha and I were editing a track in the studio, my phone buzzed. It was Mom. I hesitated but answered. Malik, her voice trembled, lacking its usual confidence. Bilal, he's in big trouble. His company is on the verge of bankruptcy. He and Noor are fighting constantly. Can you help your brother? I whispered to myself. You're begging now, Mom, after you threw me away? I fell silent, feeling as if I were being pulled back to those days in Portland when Mom only talked about Bilal, when she told me to be realistic. I thought of Bilal at the concert, his tired eyes, and Noor with her forced smile. I'd heard from an old friend that their marriage was fracturing. Noor was no longer the cheerful girl I once loved. She complained about financial pressures, about Bilal's unfulfilled expectations. And Bilal, once a finance star, was now struggling to keep his company afloat after a failed deal. Part of me felt sorry for them, but a larger part was just exhausted. Mom, I said, my voice calm but firm, I can't help. Bilal has to figure it out himself after everything this family has done. I just want to live for me. You made your choice, I added, my voice steady. You chose him. Live with it. Mom hesitated, then said softly, You've changed, Malik. I gave a sad smile. No, Mom. I've just learned to love myself. I hung up, feeling a pang of heartache but also relief. I didn't want to be entangled with them anymore. They'd chosen their path, and so had I. I whispered to myself, I'm free, but the scars will always sting. Aisha looked at me with concern. Everything okay? I told her about the call. She took my hand, non-judgmental. You did the right thing, she said. We don't owe them anything. You're my family now, I said, my voice thick with emotion. She hugged me tight. And you're mine, Malik, forever. I kissed her forehead, knowing she was all I needed. Our life, mine and Aisha's, was now a new song full of bright notes. We moved into a larger apartment in Nashville with a balcony overlooking the city. Every evening, we sat there playing guitar, singing unfinished songs and laughing about wild ideas for Outkast tunes. I no longer thought much about Noor, Bilal, or my parents. I knew they were living their lives with their own struggles and fractures. Once I stumbled across a post from Mom online, boasting about a family vacation, but her smile looked forced. Bilal and Noor weren't in the photos. I didn't feel joy at that, but I didn't feel sadness either. They were no longer part of my story. But as I scrolled past, a quiet ache lingered, not for their love, but for the man I'd been, unseen and discarded. I'd built a new life, but the scars of their betrayal would always whisper, a reminder that even triumph carries a cost. Sometimes I thought of Portland, of the nights playing music in my small apartment, of the time Noor believed in me, but those memories no longer hurt. They were part of me, but they didn't define me. I'd grown, not through my family's validation, but through failures. Lonely nights in Tennessee, and Aisha's love. She was the one who taught me that happiness isn't about others' acceptance, but about accepting yourself. One evening, Aisha and I sat on the balcony, the moonlight illuminating the city. She rested her head on my shoulder, softly singing a song we'd written together. "Did you ever think we'd make it this far?" she asked. I shook my head, smiling. "No, but I know every hurt was worth it because it led me to you." She kissed me, and I felt my heart overflow. I no longer needed my family's approval. I didn't need Noor or Bilal to see me differently. I had Aisha, Outcast tunes, and dreams coming true. I had myself, a stronger, more peaceful, and happier version than ever before. My life was now a song, imperfect, but mine, and I would play it to the very last note.